All right, folks, here we go. Last example of 2-8. And this is a good one to review because of those things, those bars. A lot of you do not have those memorized. Those are what are called absolute value bars. And remember that absolute value represents a distance. Let's talk about some more absolute value. So, absolute value bars, you can only take the abs value, I abbreviated absolute, of one number at a time. So whenever you see something, absolute value bars, remember guys, those are like a grouping in terms of order of operations. Absolute value bars, they are considered a grouping. So that means you need to do what's inside first. So inside my absolute value bars, I have division of fractions, which makes sense because we're talking about complex fractions. So just like we started with up here, we don't need to convert any mixed numbers to impropers because we have those already. But we can rewrite that as a normal looking division like you're used to. So the first thing I'm starting with is rewrite. Keeping those absolute value bars though, because we haven't done anything with them. Top divided by the bottom. Boom. Still with those giant absolute value bars. So the next thing I'm going to do is I need to rewrite that using those division rules. So second, I'm going to do that keep, change, flip, or that multiplying by the reset. So again, keeping those absolute value bars because I haven't done anything with them. Keep my first fraction the same, multiply, change that division to multiplication, and then just take the reciprocal or flip that second fraction. And again, remember the second fraction was negative, so no matter what, I am keeping that negative with that second fraction. So now I have multiplication, so I can move on to cross-canceling with my multiplication. Just like in my last example, these 25s are going to cancel real nice. So we're going to divide 25 by 25 and 25 by 25 again, which is going to leave us with 1 over something times something over 1. And now my 16 and my 14. Like I was talking to some of you about earlier this week, whenever you're trying to cross cancel, always check to see if the smaller number can fit inside the bigger number. So I'm checking to see if 16 can go into 48, which it can, 3 times, which is clutch. Because that means then I'm going to simplify these two by 16. Negative 16 divides 16 is a negative 1. And 48 divides 16, like I just did on my calculator, is a positive 3. However, we can't move on to our next step yet because I forgot to carry down those absolute value bars. We can't stop carrying down those absolute value bars until we have one single number in there, and then we've taken the absolute value of it. You can't just get rid of them, though. So your final step is to do that multiplication like we were talking about. So absolute value bar, 1 times negative 1 is a negative 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Now that I have one single number under here, now I can take the absolute value of it. And the absolute value of negative 1/3 is equal to a positive 1/3. So our final answer here, I'm going to move this up, ends up being positive 1/3 because we can't have a negative distance, and that's what absolute value is all about. So there you have it, ladies and gents.